Hi there, Dave with Crandall Office, and we know one of the most important decisions you have to make when building out your remanufactured chair is which upholstery options to choose. And so we've actually taken some time to go over and deep dive each of these individual fabric and upholstery options that we have available, and now we're taking some time to do some direct comparisons between similar fabrics. Today we're taking a look at Bioknit and Openhouse, which are our two standard line fabrics that are included in the pricing of most of our remanufactured chairs. So without further ado, let's fight! All right, so let's jump right in and take a look at where these products are similar to one another, and it's only going to come down to a couple different things. First, they are both made of 100% polyester, so they're both made of the same material. And secondly, they both share the same double rub durability rating of 250,000 double rubs, which has kind of been the gold standard that was set by Openhouse a long time ago. It's really kind of what we refer to. And then Bioknit came in and matched it. Now, again, just as a reminder, 15,000 double rubs gets you commercial grade status, 30,000 gets you heavy duty commercial grade status. So both of these are just going to blow those numbers out of the water. They're both very, very durable fabrics, but they do share that same rating. The last area that they're the same is that they are both included in most of our pricing, so there's going to be no upcharge to choose between either of these two fabrics. All right, so now let's jump in and take a look at where these products are different from one another, and that is going to be a pretty long list because they are very different products, and that starts with how they're made. So Guilford & Main's Openhouse fabric is a traditional woven fabric that's woven on a loom. It's going to be what you kind of know and love and would expect out of what would be on an office chair, whereas the Bioknit fabric is actually knitted together like a sweater on a machine that does knitting. So it's not somebody sitting there knitting, it's done by a machine. It's a technology that has come a long way in the past few years and has really introduced us into a lot of really cool options for fabrics. So again, primary difference here is woven versus knitted, and that's going to lend itself to a lot of the other differences that we see from a characteristic standpoint, and we'll jump into those now. All right, so the first characteristic where we're really going to notice a difference between these two is going to be in breathability. And so as we take a look at the Openhouse fabric, you can see this is a very tightly woven fabric. As I hold it up, you can't really see through it. And that's really traditional when it comes to woven fabrics. They're really just not known for their breathability. Openhouse is no different. It's just tightly woven and doesn't provide a ton of breathability. And we can contrast that to the Bioknit fabric. The first thing we'll notice is that it's quite a bit thicker, which provides some additional airflow, but it's also, as I hold this up, you can really kind of see through the fabric. It has a lot of breathability kind of knitted into it by design. We've kind of created this to, it's kind of got little holes that you can kind of see, but that allows for more breathability and more airflow to go through. And again, that's one of the advantages that we see out of a knitted versus a woven fabric. All right, so the next difference we're going to take a look at is going to be the look and the feel, which is really what you're probably going to see the most and interact with the most and probably care about the most. And as we look at the Openhouse fabric, Openhouse has definitely got a little bit more of a textured feel to it. It's not going to be, I wouldn't call it rough, but it's definitely not smooth and soft. It's just got that kind of a drag to it versus when we compare that to the Bioknit. Bioknit is going to definitely have a softer hand feel to it. It has a little bit of give to it due to its thickness, and it just has a softer hand feel, especially when we're talking about putting it over a brand new foam seat pad and how it moves with it. It feels much different. This has a little bit of stiffness to it, and that gets into the stretch that we'll talk about a little bit later. From a look standpoint, as you can see, so when I look at this chair from this far away, it was a few feet away, this is a very solid color. It really just has that solid look to it. As I get closer, you can really see the sporadic pattern that goes into the weaving process. And I kind of equate that to a bit of a static kind of pattern. It's a very randomized kind of just spattering of, and we'll get you some close-ups so you can kind of better understand. When we look at the Bioknit, it's going to be a much more uniform pattern. You can see some vertical lines in it. You can see some dots in it. Since it's made on a machine to an exact specification, we can really kind of play around with those different patterns and really make it look how we want. But we'll get you some close-ups of that too, so you can really see how cool it is to see the actual knitted nature of this fabric. But really, it's going to be a lot cleaner looking. It's kind of got those symmetrical lines. It's kind of got that pebbling, especially as you get close, versus a much more static look, much more solid look on the Openhouse. Another area that these two fabrics really differ from each other, and again, this comes back down to the construction method, is going to be in stretch. And so as I take a piece of Openhouse fabric here and I try to pull on it, you're gonna see here that I really don't have a lot of stretch here. I really gonna have to work, and it really just isn't moving with me, and that is true for both directions. So when I take a piece of the Bioknit fabric though, you'll see, and again, this comes down to the knitted nature of this. This lends itself to more stretch, but you can just see how much stretch I've got. This is really gonna move a lot more and stretch a lot more than the Openhouse fabric. Now what this means for you is that this fabric is really gonna move with you a little bit more. So as we talk about putting these, especially over a brand new foam seat pad, you can just see how much this is going to move, and it just changes how the fabric and the seat pad really feel, because it does move with you so much and stretches with you. Versus the Openhouse fabric, so as I push on this, you can see I can compress the foam seat pad, but it really does resist it a little bit. It has a little bit more of a stiffness kind of feel to it, versus this, you can really feel the foam through it. And so again, just a primary difference that we see, a little bit stiffer, not a whole lot of stretch on the Openhouse, versus the Bioknit that has a ton of stretchability to it. All right, so the last difference that we see between these two is going to be an available color selection. So Openhouse does have a lot of different colors available, but we are currently only stocking and offering two, which is going to be black, that they call onyx, and graphite, which is a dark gray. Versus the Bioknit, we have 12 different colors available. So we have a black and a dark gray as well, but we also have a few different colors as well. So if you're looking for something other than a black or a gray, you're really going to need to steer towards the Bioknit, but we have both those available in both lines as well. All right, so now let's jump into the final wrap up, where we kind of go over everything and start handing out some check marks to give advantage points in different categories. So the first thing that we're obviously going to go over is the difference. The Openhouse is a woven fabric versus Bioknit being a knitted fabric, and that's going to lend itself to a lot of the things that we've already talked about. So when we look at durability, both of these fabrics are very, very highly durable and rated at 250,000 double rubs. So they're both going to get check marks in that category. That said, I am going to give a slightly larger check to the Openhouse, and that's for really one primary reason, and that is because of, due to how it's constructed, this resists cat claws and pets and that kind of thing a little bit better. It just doesn't have quite as much to grab onto, or the kind of holes that lend itself to some of the breathability and different things. So this resists cat claws a little bit better. I'm going to give it a slightly larger check mark, but they both get check marks in the durability category. From a breathability standpoint, check mark is definitely going to go to Bioknit. It is a much more breathable fabric, just due to how it's constructed. From a softness standpoint, again, we're going to give the check mark to Bioknit. It has a much softer hand feel than the a little bit rougher texture on the Openhouse. When we look at the stretch, again, we're going to give the stretch category to Bioknit. It's a much stretchier fabric. It's got a ton of stretch built into it versus a very little amount of stretch and a little bit of stiffness baked into the Openhouse product. From a price standpoint, they're both going to get check marks because they both are included in pricing. When we look at looks, I'm going to give the check mark to Bioknit. I like the more uniform, consistent look versus the more sporadic look. That said, if you're looking for a more kind of solid fabric option, this is going to be a little bit better choice for you, but I like the look of this. I'm going to give the check mark there. I think that wraps us up on all of this. So if you have any questions about these to help you make your decision, please let us know. But both are great fabrics, and the reason that we've included both of these fabrics as our included product options is because we love them both. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video on comparing our Bioknit and Openhouse fabric lines. If you found this video helpful, please click the like and subscribe buttons below. It always helps us out. And as always, if you have any questions about these fabrics or anything else, don't hesitate to reach out to us at our website, crandalloffice.com, our Facebook page, or anywhere else you can reach us. We're always here to help. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time. So Guilford & Main's Openhouse fabric is a woven product. It's woven on a, is it a loom? I should probably know that, right? Yeah. Hold on, let's see. Which means it's woven together on a machine. No, is it? I mean, should I say loom? I think it is loom.
I don't know.
Traditionally, hold on. It's also a much thinner fabric, but it's just much tighter knit. Not knit, it's actually woven. So there's that. This is a very, very tight knit. Knit. I said knit again. Oh. Son of a... All right, so now let's jump into the final wrap up where we kind of go over everything and start handing out a few advantage check marks to people, to fabrics. I was on the right path, I think.